This game was played at a chess team tournament a couple of years ago between a player from Madison and a player from another school. This game has a lot of things in it that I think will be great tools for teaching basic chess concepts. The game begins pretty normally, each side developing a pawn and two minor pieces. So the first three moves are really good. One thing that I want to point out in Black's position is the idea of the undefended piece. This piece right here, the bishop on c5, is not defended by any piece and could be a point of attack for White later on in the game. In fact, within the first couple of moves here, White puts an attack on this piece. Now, I tell chess players not to move the same piece more than twice in the opening. And a good next move for White might be just to develop this bishop right here. But instead, White captures the pawn on e5. And that seems like it's kind of a crazy move because Black is going to respond by taking the knight. And now Black is ahead 3 points to 1. But if you look, Black now has two undefended pieces, the bishop and the knight, and White has a little trick up his sleeve. Do you see what it is? If you want to pause this video for a moment and try to figure out what the tactic is, I'll give you a hint. It has to do with a fork. If you said move the d-pawn up 2, you are correct, because when the d-pawn moves up 2, it attacks both the knight and both the bishop and the knight at the same time. And when one piece attacks two other pieces in chess, that is called a fork. So White does fork the two pieces, and one of these pieces is going to go down. So Black captures the piece from White, captures a pawn, and then White recaptures the bishop, and now the game is even, 4 points to 4. I mentioned earlier about undefended pieces, and Black still has two undefended pieces. The knight here on e5 is undefended, but this pawn as well on g7 is undefended. And I guess if you want to look a little bit further, the rook here on h8 is undefended. And if you look, the queen has a nice x-ray attack right along this diagonal on those three pieces. And Black has to be very careful about how he plays, or else White is going to take advantage of those unprotected pieces. The best move for Black in this position is to protect the knight with the pawn. But Black doesn't do that. Black tries to be fancy and set up an attack on the queen. But that is not a good move. Do you know why? Take a moment to try to look at the move, and I'll give you a hint. It has to deal with these unprotected pieces and this x-ray attack. What White does is captures the undefended pawn. And now White is ahead by 1 point. But the position, in fact, the rook here is unprotected, and if Black is not careful, White is going to take that piece as well, and suddenly White will be ahead by 6 points. The best move for Black in this position is to move the queen here to f6. Now it looks like it won't be a very good move for Black because the white queen could take the black queen, but that's not a scalp because the queen is being protected by this knight right here. So the white queen is going to have to run away, and the worst that happens is that Black is down by only 1 point. Black doesn't see that move though, and instead Black moves the pawn up 1 square. And so White is going to take advantage of that by capturing the black rook. And now White is ahead by 6 points, and here's another undefended piece. And so Black has to do something to protect that piece to keep White from getting another advantage. And the best move for Black would have been to take this knight and move it to e7 so that it protects the other knight from being captured by the queen. Instead, black decides to attack the queen, maybe seeing that the queen is protected by the knight, but unfortunately the knight is not protected, and white takes another piece. And now white is ahead by how many points? I believe it's 9 points now, and black's game is quickly falling apart. Black responds by moving the knight to e7. This is a critical point in the game for white. White can force black into a checkmate in 7 moves. And I'm surprised in chess how often I see chess players way ahead of their opponent, but rather than taking advantage of being way ahead, they allow their opponent back into the game, and this game is no exception. Again, white is only 7 moves away from checkmate, and I'm going to make another video to see if you can figure out the 7 moves that white can make to force a checkmate and have the game over. Instead, white ends up giving the game back to black, and black actually recovers from this position. And I don't know why players lose the advantage in the game. I don't know if they're so caught up in their own ideas that they don't pay attention to what's happening, or if they're so far ahead that they get lazy and they stop paying attention and stop trying to win the game, or if they just play so fast that they don't take time to think about other moves. I tell my chess players to take at least 15 seconds to think of a chess move, and that if a chess player has a move, to try to think of a second move or a third move to play. Because usually the first move that a chess player plays is not the best move. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's not. It's usually that second move or that third move that white sees. Now I want you to take a moment and try to figure out what the best move is here for white.